You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Hello, very good evening to you, and welcome to the Scottish Football Zone. Well, we were all set for a busy night of league action. There's still some games on, but there's two cancellations at 4 o'clock. The game was postponed at 4 o'clock today. I don't know why it was such a late pitch inspection up in Aberdeen, but hey ho, that's Scottish football for you. Aberdeen against Celtic is off, and I think the rumours are that might be in March sometime at the beginning of March, but it's not been confirmed yet. Also, the Dundee Motherwell game is postponed as well due to a waterlogged pitch. So apart from that, we've got some games on tonight. We are joined tonight by Ethan Barrow. He'll be on soon, and a new signing, a deadline day signing, as I say. Maybe a Bosman signing. I don't know if you can still get Bosman for anyway. Stephen Hooper is here. Stephen, how are you?
Very well, yeah, very well. Happy to come on board and give you my slant. It might be slightly Ayrshire biased, but there we are.
Yeah, no bother. Yeah, so welcome to the team. You might have remembered, Stephen, we got you on for the Scottish Cup game a few weeks ago, and I'll leave it there. I won't say anything else about that game as well. So, yeah, let me run through the game for you. Well, only 3 of them is in action tonight. The big game at Ibrox is Rangers against Stevens Kilmarnock, and Hibs against Dundee United, and Livingston against Falkirk as well. Stephen, before we get to your game at Ibrox tonight against Rangers, were you surprised how late the calls were today between Aberdeen and Celtic and Dundee and Motherwell?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly maybe slightly more surprised on the Dundee one, because it's got history, hasn't it? You know, with that corner in particular, where the water tends to, you know, they've had games off in the past, haven't they? I was kind of hoping that the rain might have helped, might have kept it on from a selfish point of view, because they're looking as if they're sliding into our side of the fight as anyway, and Motherwell are flying at the minute, as we know anyway, sort of thing, you know. So I would have thought that would have been an away victory tonight. So yeah, a wee bit gutted from a personal point of view that's off. But yeah, I mean, again, Aberdeen, you know, I would have thought that could have been an earlier call off. You know, I mean, I would have thought Celtic were going to take that's involving guys taking time off their work, etc., isn't it? You know, so you would think the weather up there's probably been like that most of the day. So I don't see why we couldn't have had it, you know, earlier in the day. But yeah, not so good.
Yeah, no, apparently the pitch inspection, well, what I heard was the Dundee one was, it was called off at 4:30, right? But the pitch inspection was at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And you think, well, how does it take 2 hours to inspect a park, you know? But it's typical Scottish football. But yeah, so these games are off, and as I said, Aberdeen and Celtic game, I think I heard the date, it might be March the 4th, but I'm not very sure as well. So let's go on to the big game tonight, involving Kilmarnock and Rangers, and let's hope Neil McCann goes to the right dugout tonight, not the home one or the left one. Rangers against Kilmarnock, quarter kickoff. What are you hoping for tonight, Stephen?
Realism says if we can come away with a point, that'd be a result. In reality, you know, I see we've named the same team as Saturday, where we've obviously took 3 off Aberdeen at home, and we the front two in particular started to look as if we're getting a bit of click, and a bit of luck. What we do is the same thing. We come out the traps early and press them, and that's what we've done with Aberdeen, and it was very effective. But you know, you're going to Rangers you know, I mean, I haven't had a look at the Rangers lineup as yet. I don't know if they had lineups out, but you know, it's going to be strong anyway, isn't it? You know, in terms of it's Rangers. So yeah, it's going to be tight. Danny Roll's done a decent job. He's quietly went along doing the, you know, letting the rest of the noise on the other side of the city kind of go on, and he's just got on with his kind of work, you know. And obviously Hearts have taken a bit of the limelight as well in terms of you know, the press, etc. sort of thing. So unfortunately for us, they didn't do so well last night to help us out there as well. But yeah, I'm expecting a tough game. I think it'll be challenging. I don't think we'll have our sorrows to seek. There'll be, you know, a bit of defensive work to be done. Young Ethan Shelty Brown played very well on Saturday, so did Robbie Dees, and Larson as well at the back there, because Lewis Mayo's still out with a knock. So yeah, no, they stood up well. It's going to be a different test, obviously against the Rangers, because the quality will be a bit better. But yeah, as I say, if we can come away with a draw out of this, then I'd be taking your hand off for it at the minute, to be honest. But you've got to be confident. We've got to always think that that we can get a result. You know, we've had results in the past, albeit it might be Steve Clark's time last time we were successful up there. But I'll take a hard fought draw, which will help us another point nearer safety.
Of course, Neil McCann came out yesterday and he was speaking to the media ahead of the game, and what I took from it was he said we're going there to play and win. Well, obviously that you're going to have a manager would have to say that before the game, but I mean he kind of speaks a good game, but I mean, supporters like you, Stephen, are not interested about what he says to the media. It's what he does on the park. What the team does.
Yeah, agreed. You know, to be fair, there's probably an argument in the game so far he's had in charge. We've done okay to a point. I mean, the Motherwell, albeit we end up getting hammered 4-0, but you know, Liam Polworth goal looked marginal to say the least in terms of the offside call. Does that change the game? You know, 15 minutes or so in, and Tom Lowry gets sent off as well, which, you know, at that point then it's a tough task. And I mean, let's not take much away from Motherwell. They've been the forum team this season as well, out with Hearts. They've played some fantastic football. So yeah, I think there's been signs that we've done okay. The cup game as well with Dundee, you know, we scored a cracking goal there for Dominic Thompson. Truth be known, and to be fair, I suppose they did give us a bit of a batter, and it was just a goalkeeping stroke defensive mistake for Robbie Dees and Keeler Roos that put us out of the cup in the last minute. So yeah, there has been encouraging signs, and as I say, the front two in particular, Anderson and John Jules, on Saturday looked really good. Tyrese has been a bit unfortunate since he's come in, because he's been kind of getting played this kind of right wing. You know, he's out of position. You know, right and left have played him, not quite through the middle or as a pair sort of thing. So, and Bruce has paired up with him and looked pretty interesting. And certainly with the deadline signings, albeit they're no featuring tonight. Obviously, Curtis is obviously tied because it's his loan club. But like say Hugo, he's on the bench tonight. He looked fairly handy. Get 20 minutes on Saturday. He looked okay, albeit, you know, with the game won by then. Those additions, that's where we've missed the application this season as a wide men. You know, so yeah, a burst of pace, and then, you know, we should start to see signs, and certainly it means that the next midweek's game against St Mirren, bearing in mind the result last night, is going to be massive as well. You know, so yeah. But as I say, if we can get a point out of tonight, I'll be happy, man.
What do you make of Neil McCann? He's had a bit of a, I know I spoke to you a few weeks ago, and you were a bit unsure about his appointment. He got us for his victory at the weekend. Is the jury still out on him?
Well, it comes across very well in the media, but obviously, he's been in that for a wee while now anyway, so, Billy Dodds, as I said to you probably previous as well, so I think Billy Dodds brings a plethora of experience as well, and certainly the pleasing aspect of it, even though we go out the cup, was that Billy Dodds and had been working with the strikers in particular, and Thompson scores a goal kind of off the training ground, if you like, as well, so that was pleasing. Yeah, I mean, the reality and the realism is, Michael, that we need to stay up, and that's the aim of the game. If Neil McCann and Billy Dodds are the answer to doing that, then I personally think we'll have enough. I think we're in the mix as it is, but I think we'll have enough. Can Neil McCann get the best out of those players? Well, a lot of those players that lined up on Saturday are players that have been there under Kettlewell, so therefore, you would, on that evidence, think, well, yeah, and now he's added, say, a burst of pace with Finlay Curtis coming in, the lad that's came in, that's played for the Moldovan team. Unfortunately, he's not quite fit, but he's a fast-paced winger. But according to Neil McCann's comments in the press, he's a few weeks away. But yeah, I think the additions, once they get up to speed, I think we'll have enough. McCann long term, I mean, they gave him a 2.5-year deal. That's maybe nowhere where every supporter would have potentially wanted us to be, but we are where we are. The damage, unfortunately, was done in the summer with Kettlewell's poor appointment and some of the signings, in my opinion. So yeah, it's damage limitation now at this point, and then we'll look to regroup and it'll be a rebuild again in the summer as well, because we've got 16 players out of contract. So we'll have to have another look at it from there.
Yeah, as Paul Donaldson's pointing out there, obviously we touched upon this at the top of the show, and we might speak about it a wee bit if we've got time when we finish as well. Disappointing tonight's game is postponed. Aberdeen requested a pits inspection at 1:30 today, but it wasn't done until about 4:30. I would maybe argue the point that it was done at 25 to 5, but I'm not going to split hairs. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing that the Aberdeen Celtic game was off. Ethan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited for the games that are taking place tonight. Obviously disappointing that 2 of them are postponed. I think both Motherwell and Celtic would have looked to capitalise on Hearts' drop points last night, but we've still got 3 massive games regardless, and there's some big stories across the league. Obviously, one of them including Kilmarnock heading to Ibrox, which is going to be a massive game for both teams, both off the back of different results, and then obviously the Neil McCann and Billy Dodds factor. So yeah, a lot of interesting elements still to play on tonight across the 3 games, and hopefully they're as entertaining as last night's game was.
Yep, we were just talking about the game at Ibrox between Rangers and Kilmarnock. And Stephen was just saying that he would maybe settle for a point and now going to Ibrox.
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult for Kilmarnock, despite the fact that they've probably got the most confidence they've had in a while, because they obviously went the run out the win, and then they get it in very emphatic fashion at the weekend over Aberdeen. And then Rangers, on the other hand, have been unable to drop points recently, certainly in the league under Danny Rule, and then they come away from Easter Road unstuck with enough in each straw. So maybe you would look at it as one of the best times to go to Ibrox, but it's still going to be a massive task on the Kilmarnock players and Neil McCann's hands to even get a point, and that would be an excellent result for Kilmarnock, especially off the back of St Mirren maybe knocking them back after Kilmarnock picked up the 3 points of the weekend.
Yeah, no, exactly. So Danny Rowe was speaking to the media yes, good morning. He says, this group has everything to give, and we're ready for the game. And obviously, Neil McCann said that we're ready, but we're going to play and to win the game. So the managers are talking a good game, Stephen, but as you know, when they cross that white line, it might be a different story at 7:45.
Yeah. Well, from a selfish point of view, let's hope so. Let's hope we can deliver as well as we did on Saturday. And as I say, it's certainly tough task, and the defenders are going to have to be at it again tonight, like they were on Saturday, sort of thing. Not that they have as much to do as they will have tonight, but Shelty Brown in particular has started to come on to, and he's been rewarded with a new contract. It's nice to see, but he's come on to playing quite an assured role in the back there for such a young player. But he'll be tested tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, what are you expecting from Kilmarnock? Because obviously, when they go to Parkhead and Ibrox, it's always kind of sit behind the ball. But I suppose like the position Kelly's in and out. I suppose like they'll sit in for like 20 minutes, and then they'll probably depend on set pieces like free kicks, corner kicks.
I'm not so sure we'll do that, to be honest. I mean, albeit we were at home on Saturday, we from the front foot, for the first couple of minutes, we pressed really well. We pressed high up, and Aberdeen didn't quite know what hurt them. Now, I'm not suggesting that you maybe go to Ibrox with the same. I think the mentality, certainly the confidence is up, and the mentality will certainly not be. I don't think McCann's mentality really is sitting in too much. Maybe depending, obviously, how the game goes and how it starts to flow, and how obviously Rangers play as well. But no, I think we can start in the front foot again, try and press on what we did on Saturday. Then who knows?
Yep, who knows indeed. We'll find out. Yep. So I believe we've got both sets of teams news now. So even it's even on our evening. Can't say that one, but your teeth. So you've got the team news now. And so even.
Yeah, I'll start with the Rangers team first, and then probably be able to get Stephen's thoughts on the Kilmarnock lineup. For Rangers, I think it's 5 changes from the last game, so a lot of squad turnover over the last couple of games from Danny Rowe, and maybe try to right the wrongs of the drop points Easter Road. So Jack Butland in goals, back four of Jayden Magoma, John Suter, Nasser Jiga, and James Tavernier. Nico Raskin and Mohamed Diamande make up the sitting two, with an attacking three of Jedi Gassama, Taylor Asgard, and Mikey Moore in behind Bojan Miovski. And the notable absentee for Rangers is that there's no place even on the bench for Emmanuel Fernandez. I don't know if that's a suspension that having been missed or he's picked up an injury. So yeah, he is out. And then for Kilmarnock, in goals is Keller Roos, back four of Dominic Thompson, Robbie Dees, Ethan Shelter Brown, and Michael Shawning Larson. And then the midfield three, Brad Lyons, David Watson, and Liam Polworth, with Greg Kelty in behind Bruce Anderson and Tyrese John Jules.
So what do you make of that lineup for Kilmarnock, Stephen?
Yeah, well, it's unchanged team from Saturday. So that's the exact same team we played against Aberdeen. So yeah, if it's no broke, don't fix it. I think would certainly be the message, and nobody played to the level whereby they would be looking at getting dropped out of the team anyway, to be honest. So yeah, no, kind of as expected. I've seen the team earlier on anyway, sort of thing. I hadn't seen the Rangers one, but obviously from your point of view, I think Miovski is obviously the danger man as such. If he gets the service, and then he's I mean, Raskin's to be watched as well. Obviously he's and that midfield could be kind of interesting. Diamande, if he stays on his feet, might be a bit of a handful as well, kind of thing. But yeah, it's, as I say, I think Miovski's the one that we're going to have to. Robbie Dees and Shelty Brown are going to have to be on their toes with him, because he's fast. So yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as for Rangers, Ethan, are you expecting anything, or obviously they would go to keep the kind of run and run at home going, especially if they've got a bonus because Hearts got beat last night and the Celtic game's off.
Yeah, so they've got the opportunity now to put pressure on both Hearts and cutting the lead down to 3 points, but also to go 3 points ahead of Celtic. They will obviously have that game in hand to be rearranged at Pittodrie at some point, but it's an excellent opportunity for them to win and get back to winning ways, obviously, after the defeat in Porto and the draw in Edinburgh at the weekend. Interesting that he's Danny Rose shuffled the team about so much again. Possibly shows the belief that he has that he's got the strength and depth despite them dropping a point or 2 points rather at the weekend. I've got the lineups from the other games if you want me to quickly run through them, Michael.
Yeah, on you go, I think. Yep.
Yeah. So the Easter Road, obviously, Hibs v Dundee United for Hibs. In goals is Raphael Salinger, back three Jack Iredale, Rocky Bashiri, and a debut for Menashe Garanaga. The midfield four, Jordan Abita, Miguel Chaiwa, Dan Barleza, and another debut for Felix Pashlak, with a front three of Martin Boyle, January signing Dane Scarlett, and Ellie Yuan. For Dundee United, in goals is Ashley Maynard Brewer, back three of Crestes, Graham, and Cleo Harden, midfield four of Ferry, Sibbald, Stevenson, and Namo, and a front three of Trapanovsky, Moller, and Sapsford. The home of the Set Fair Arena is Livingston host Falkirk. Of course, the only team I believe Livingston have beat this season in the Scottish Premiership way back on the second day of the season. So the Livingston team is Pryor in goals, Fatty, Kabongolo, Finlayson, and Brenny and McGowan. And the defence, the midfield, McLennan, Tate, Silla, and then up front is Smith and Muirhead. And for John McGlynn's Falkirk, in goals is Scott Bain, and defence is Allen, Lisa McCann, and Henderson, with a midfield of Spencer, Yates, and further forward Marsh, with Miller and Wilson either side of Barney Stewart. So yeah, that's the sets of lineups from the other games, and but obviously I think the one that most people will be keeping their eye on is probably Rangers at home to Kilmarnock in terms of the relegation battle and obviously the battle for the title as well.
Yeah, no, have you looking at the Kilmarnock side from a Kilmarnock point of view, Stephen? Are you surprised that he stuck with the same team? I know you said if it's working, don't if they got the one at the weekend, why shift it about?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with that as a team, to be honest. I mean, Aaron Tishbola, our other summer signing, Hugo and Telesco are all on the bench. But as I said earlier, Telesco he's a wee bit away for fitness as such. I think he's going to 2 or 3 games before he's out. So in terms of Big Max Stryek, he's on the bench, but in reality he again is a couple of weeks away as well. So it doesn't leave an awful lot. You've got like say Daka, Stranger, Williams and McKenzie. So Rory McKenzie could feature in the game if depending on how the game is actually flowing, because he'll add a bit of dig in the middle of the park. So you've got Polworth that's going to do that job as well, alongside Watson and Lyons. But so you've got options in terms of if it feels the front men aren't working, you've got 2 other strikers on the bench there that can come on. Stranger appears to be a wee bit out of the picture anyway, sort of thing, but he's listed on the bench as well, sort of thing. But no, I think I would have went with the same team anyway, because they played so well. Combined with Aberdeen playing so poorly, to be fair. I think that I would have stuck with that just the same. I don't think there's anything, unless there'd been a niggler or not, which there didn't appear to be anything anyway, sort of thing. So no, I'm pretty happy with the lineup.
Yeah, I know you said Aberdeen was pretty poor on Saturday, but it's all Fredden's football, Stephen. You've got to beat who's in front of you, and it doesn't matter if they were Aberdeen or Barcelona. You still got to get the win.
Yeah, oh no, not taking anything away from the team performance was very good, and that's what I said. I'd like to see us do the same tonight in terms of press high up. Everybody seemed to. I think maybe the catalyst would have been 3 signings coming in on Friday. Some of the players just thought they maybe get on the metal a wee bit more, because that's a threat to your position. Strikers coming in and wingers coming in, sort of things. So that maybe was what was required. So, but yeah, you've got to beat what's in front. You're right. But this season we've proved that that's been difficult to do. So it was a very much welcome relief after such a long time to see it. So yeah.
Stephen said before you came on air, Ethan, that he fancies a draw tonight from the game. What about you?
Yeah, I thought that I was thinking of the game, and I was thinking maybe a comfortable win for Rangers. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm doubting that, and thinking that Kilmarnock will probably have a chance. I think Rangers lack creativity in the final third, and they've yet to really find a consistent way to goal. And I think especially when none of the strikers have been firing, Nadiri, the new signing, isn't on the bench tonight. Oh no, he is on the bench, sorry, tonight. So we'll obviously hopefully get to see what he's going to bring for £5 million. But between Yusuf Chermiti and Bojan Miovski, they've not done anywhere near enough for Rangers so far this season. And if they want to win the league, then they have to start finding a way to go on a consistent basis. And that's what we've seen the weekend against Hibs. I know they did find a net through Mikey Moore, just a tad offside, as VAR called it. I think they could have played 5 sets of 90 minutes and not found the back of the net out with that, because it was just one of those days for Rangers. And Kilmarnock are not going to roll up and make it easy for them. I don't think I've said this a lot of times this season, but most of these teams in the league can all compete with each other on any given day, and that's what made this season so entertaining so far. Stephen, I've got a couple of questions about some of the January signings. First of all, one of the ones that's starting tonight, Sean Larson. I think I haven't seen a full match from him. But from the highlights I've seen, he's looked pretty decent. Has he been okay since coming in?
Yeah, good addition, to be honest. He does like going forward. He's defensive wise, still feel there's maybe a wee bit of work there to do, but he can see a pass. His natural instinct is to sort of go forward. Only downside for me is that he took a foul throw on Saturday. Professional football players should never be able to put a ball over the top of their head and throw it. But anyway, that aside, no, he's been good. He's been a good addition, and he was one that was done under Stuart Kettlewell in reality, because it was in the pipeline as such, but didn't get announced till after Stuart had departed, sort of thing. So no, he's been. So I assume the recruitment team and Stuart had signed off on that. But yeah, no, he's been a good addition. He's pretty solid. Likes a bit of a challenge, but as I say, his natural instinct seems to be to go forward. Defensively, he's pretty good. But yeah, I think he's going to be a good addition for us.
Yeah, and I think it was a really strong window in the face of it for Kilmarnock, and one who we knew was never going to be a part of the game tonight was Finlay Curtis. I didn't see the game at the weekend, obviously, but from what I heard, that he sort of carried on his positive momentum into his sub-cameo playing on the Saturday, despite obviously starting the game for Rangers in Porto and on the Thursday. How did he look?
Yeah, I mean, you can see there's a player a level above what we've got at the club. No disrespect to some of the guys, but he came on about 65 minutes. I think he got about the last 20-25 minutes, sort of thing. And flashes looked good. The boy from Man United as well. He came on, and again he to be fair only got about 10 minutes as Anderson went off for him. But again, he looks flashes of him that you kind of look. It's a bit like probably liking it to. I don't know if you remember the young lad Owen Beck that came up from Liverpool with Dundee. He looked like one of those players that's been at an academy, and you just think that they look pretty impressive. We had Luke Chambers as well a few seasons ago as well, who, you know, you can just see that you know, that they're just a wee bit at a level above us. But I think with this, what we've lacked, obviously we've been no had our sorrows to seek with Matty Kennedy, who fortunately for us has started to come back onto the grass now, and he looks as if he's not far away. But losing him and Danny Armstrong, you know, and having actual width has been a big issue for us. So adding some wide players is going to be good. I think, you know, obviously Finlay Curtis, he's eager to get back in the Rangers setup anyway, isn't he? You know, so he's going to be playing every week, so he's going to showcase his talents, which from our point of view is fantastic, because we're going to get the best out of that deal. So yeah, no, I think on the face of it, I think a decent window for us. Obviously, Tishbola was going for the record of how many times you can sign for Kilmarnock. Stuart Finlay still beats him in that one, but he's back as well. You know, we'll have to wait and see. You know, the spells he's had at the club previously, he had guys around about him that were doing the legwork kind of thing, you know. So Tish at 31 now, I think, and he's played Greece and Turkey and other places in between time. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do a job. There was whispers as well about Liam Polworth going out to Ross County. So was it maybe the thought process of 1 for 1, because that's kind of probably what you've got there, sort of thing. But no, I think the other three in particular are going to be the difference for us, because if you've got the ammunition getting provided to Tyrese, John Jules and Bruce Anderson, then, you know, they're natural finishers, those pair. So I think give us a couple of games and I think that's going to be a good window for us.
Yeah, I thought it was Aaron Tishbola's actually. I thought it was his third spell, but I
was his fourth. No, it's his fourth.
Yeah. Which I think is crazy. And I remember him back on one of his earlier spells, playing with Yusuf Malumbu, that midfield under Steve Clark. That was memories.
Yeah, I was a bit worried that he was bringing his boots and Malumbu with him, but apparently not.
Maybe like the Killie Pies too much there, Stephen, as well. But the less I about the Killie Pies, the better. But they are lovely. But anyway, let's move on to the only other two games that are on tonight. I was all set to do a big show, and it's kind of damp squib. But anyway, that's got its little way. That's our main game. We're focusing on the game at Ibrox. The next game that we're going to move on to speak about, guys, is Hibs against Dundee United. Two of the kind of, would you say, inconsistent teams this season. Ethan, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think that would be completely fair to say. They've probably, I'd say certainly Hibs more than Dundee United in the league play position will reflect that they've been more consistent at times, and I think after a disappointing period for Hibs, losing in the fashion they did to Falkirk and the defeat to obviously their old manager Neil Lennon and Dunfermline in the Scottish Cup would have been disappointing, but a really positive point in performance against Rangers at the weekend, where they arguably could have taken all three with the chances they had. I think they'll be going into this game with a lot more confidence than they would have before that game against Rangers. So I see them as favourites at home. It'll be really interesting to see their new signings as well, two new defenders starting, and then Dane Scarlett, who, like a lot of clubs in Scotland, we talk about Finlay Curtis, but I think a lot of the clubs in the Premiership have got really good loan deals for players from down south, as well as obviously from Rangers. In the Finlay Curtis case, I thought young Jacob Devaney, the 18-year-old, looked really good for St Mirren last night on loan from Manchester United as well. So yeah, I think that's a really successful market which the Scottish clubs can go into. And for Dundee United, it's been a wee bit more negative, you would say, as of late. Obviously losing pretty easily to Hearts. Obviously they lost 2 men, one in the first half, which didn't make that easy at all. Then heavily beaten by Celtic and lost the derby. I know they did beat Ayr United in the Scottish Cup, but they would have been expected to do that. And I think Jim Goodwin needs a a result in the Scottish Premiership to really get the fans back on side, because I think there's a few Dundee United fans maybe having their doubts over him. So yeah, it's a big game for both teams. They'll look to get a win and maybe start sort of turning their momentum around and going on a forward trajectory. Hibs are still well in with an opportunity of European football. Obviously, you would say Falkirk could maybe get slightly more momentum behind them. And for Dundee United, I think the first priority will be to avoid relegation, because I think they're still well within the realms of possibility of being within that. And you never know if they strike a good form, which I don't see coming. I think they'll just be inconsistent throughout the season. I think they'll be okay. I don't think they will relegated or anything like that, but I don't think they're consistent enough to really challenge for those top 6 places.
Stephen, are you surprised of the season that both clubs has had? I'm thinking about other seasons that they've been doing well. Dundee United was in Europe once upon a time. They got into the Premiership under Jim Goodwin. Hibs, David Gray, you don't know what you're going to get, even though it was a brilliant point on Sunday against Rangers. But as I was saying, to even inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that probably spells it for both of them, doesn't it? In reality, Dundee United probably more so but Hibs are. Yeah, it's what Hibs team turns up sometimes, isn't it? In terms of, David Gray, he probably overachieved early doors in his effectively his Hibs managerial career, sort of thing. So again that. Probably Motherwell are the forum team in that top 6, really, in terms of if you look at it, because the others should really be up there, shouldn't they? Hearts obviously a wee bit a change for the norm, but you think Rangers, Celtic should be up there. Hibs you would expect to be up there, but as Ethan tipped on there as well, Falkirk are certainly are having a good old run at it as well, But Hibs I would think would be slightly disappointed. 5th place for them. Yeah, it's probably want a wee bit more than that. Martin Boyle, as the aging process started to catch up with him, maybe a wee bit much now as well, sort of thing. The legs just not got enough left in it, and as again, it'll be interesting to see if maybe there's any sort of additions, because obviously a loan period can go on as well, can't it? So maybe some of those clubs that feel that they've not quite, and there's still a month for that to run, sort of thing. So Hibs might be one that look at something like that as well. But yeah, I would think. You'd be more disappointed, I think, if you're a Hibs fan. Dundee United, I think, are just, Jim Goodwin just seems to, controversy seems to follow him. He seems to be able to go on some good runs and have everybody behind him, and then all of a sudden it can go the other way, kind of thing. I feel a wee bit unfortunate for him, but again, he did take an Aberdeen team to Darvel and get put out of the cup, so you kind of think, that wasn't clever. But yeah, I think that in reality should be a home win, shouldn't it? I think Hibs have got more than enough, so I would think they can take care of business. But yeah, I think that they're probably going to be the more disappointed out of the season thus far, I would say, out of both.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that these were maybe two of the teams that had put on opposite scales of the window on who had the best and who had the worst window. I think Dundee United, I don't think they brought in enough to supplement what they had. Obviously, it was a massive turnover in the summer. I thought Hibs had a really good window. Obviously, they lose Kieran Bowie, but I think everybody in Scotland agreed that the fee they got for him was excellent. They managed to bring in, I think, 3 strikers by the end of the transfer window, and then obviously 2 defenders, which comes straight into the starting lineup tonight. Dundee United, looking at it, don't have a really good record at all at Easter Road. They've won once. The last time they won, was back in 2021, and they've won once there since 2015. So it doesn't happen very often. So yeah, I'd expect Hibs to get the 3 points tonight. I don't know how convincing it'll be, but I expect them to just get the edge over Jim Goodwin's side.
There's two inconsistent team scheming, but 2 teams going into the game with 2 kind of good and bad results in terms of like Hibs and Sunday. Never saw the game, but Hibs had a lot of chances to win that game. I'm hearing. So they got a point. They want to build on it, And then Dundee United got down to 9 men and got beat off a Hearts. But and Hibs, like, because they've got a decent result on Sunday, as we always say, if you're up against Celtic and Rangers, it's good when you beat them, but it's what you do in the next game it really counts to kind of like kick on.
Yeah, agreed. There's certainly as Ethan said, certainly on the face of it, it's been a really good window. I mean, the Bowie one's exceptional, isn't it? I don't think. I mean, I know there was a wee bit of rumours and whispers that people were looking at him, but I think definitely an exceptional bit of business for their point of view, and that's probably helped the rest of the window, obviously for a wage bill point of view, sort of thing. That they're able to. But yeah, it'd certainly be interesting to see, because I think the boy Scarlett, is he on loan for Spurs? I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see him and the other boy. One of them for Copenhagen as well, isn't he? One of the other lads, FC Copenhagen. So it'd be interesting to see them. And I think the other boy's a right back, isn't he? The other one, So yeah, be interesting to see. I think sometimes it's like everything else, isn't it? Sometimes ignorance in the Scottish game, because they've came from leagues that you're not sure of. You think, well, what are they going to be like, sort of thing, But yeah, I think they certainly they for me they're stick on for the result tonight. But yeah, let's wait and see. That one I don't have as much of an interest in terms of how it pans out, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you, Ethan, but I fancy a wee high B's win tonight. So 2-1 to Hibs.
Yeah, I do. You know what? I'm going to go a really strong Hibs win. Well, not really strong, but I'm going to go a 3-1 win for the High Bees. I think they'll score. Their new signings will look good, and more disappointment and pressure on Jim Goodwin and Dundee United, I think.
Stephen, what about you? What you going for in this one?
Yeah, no, I think I wouldn't credit Dundee United with a goal, to be fair. I think it'd be a comfortable 2-0 to Hibs tonight. I don't think they'll break much in the way of sweat, to be fair. So yeah, I would say 2-0.
Let's go on to the last game then to talk about in Livingston against Falkirk. It's quite a weird build-up to the game, guys, because Gibby Martindale's not the manager, but he's still there, right? But when I heard about this news about he's going upstairs, I don't know if this reminds you of Craig Levine, Stephen, at Hearts.
Yeah, minus a laptop.
Yeah. Gavin Stappen's got that.
I mean, I think certainly speaking to some of the sort of them of a Livy persuasion, I think they're baffled a bit by it as well. Am I not right in saying, I might be wrong here, but am I not right in saying that is David Martindale not get some sort of financial interest in the club as well? Sort of thing? So
yeah,
I'm not suggesting that he's made a job for himself and he's stayed at the club for that reason. However, it seems an odd one that he would go upstairs when he's been part of the unsuccessful team. I'm quite happy if it stays that way until the end of the season, by the way. But it seems a bit of an odd one altogether, kind of thing. You would have thought whoever the decision makers are, and I think is the American the owner. I think
he's American. Yeah.
So you would have thought they wouldn't have let it go to this stage before they would make some sort of change in any sort of way. I mean, Marvin Bartley. I mean, he was supposed to be. I think the consensus before he went away to Queen of the South was that he was the brains of the outfit. He went away to Queen of the South and didn't really prove that, being his own man. But I'm sure he'll have Martindale to lean on. From my point of view, I'm quite happy that that's the case. But we'll wait and see. I mean, again, I can't understand how. I mean, I see Robbie Muirhead is now back in the team tonight, but I can't understand with the Barron run that they've been on that he hasn't featured. Because for me, he's the most prolific and natural goal scorer there. But whether him and Martindale have had some sort of issues or whatever, I don't know. But the big boy, was it Yengemi or
Yenge?
Yeah, he's about 17 feet with his hands in the air. He just didn't seem to. To me, he didn't look as if he had much about him. The other boy who scored a goal, and I think that was like only his second goal last game out up front as well. I mean, he how McLennan was McLennan. I think he's low in terms of numbers for his goal, and he was starting in front of Muirhead a lot of the time, and I'm thinking that seemed to me baffling, but that's just an outsider looking in. But as I say, as long as the form continues, then I'll be quite happy at that. But it'll be interesting to see if certainly Muirhead coming into the team tonight makes a bit of a difference there. But Falkirk, again, as we said earlier, there Falkirk have been flying, haven't they? I mean, they're you've got to think that they're going to go and be a fairly routine result for them. They have been playing really well. John McGlynn's, he's got to be up there with Manager of the Year candidate. I would have said, along with the Motherwell manager, because he's certainly been he's done very, very well. I don't think any realism in terms of top 6 place for Falkirk before you kicked the ball would have been where you'd have been at. But it'll be certainly be an interesting one. But I'll keep a watchful eye on that. But I think Falkirk can get the job done there.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think they will get the job done. And the strange thing is with this fixture, despite Falkirk winning the league obviously last season, and when both teams were in the Championship, and credit, I completely agree on the point of John McGlynn, and what an excellent job he's done carrying it into this season, getting them top 6, 22 points ahead of Livingston, to go to the difference of the fine margins that were in the Championship last season. But Falkirk have only beat Livingston in one of the last 15 meetings, which is crazy to think about, and that was in 2018. So they have a weirdly terrible record against Livingston, but all things have got to come to an end, and surely they're going to sort of break that duck tonight, and I expect them to win even on the road. They obviously, Livingston did win this fixture back at the start of the season. They drew the reverse one at Falkirk, but yeah, I can't see past a Falkirk win tonight, even looking at that terrible record they've got against which for the majority of the time I'd imagine would have been David Martindale's team. Be really interesting to see if there's any differences with Marvin Bartley in charge, but as I think was mentioned, and as people have said, I think he is apparently the sort of brains behind the operation anyway. So yeah, it is interesting that David Martindale was sort of been sacked, but not really. He's just sort of took himself out of the hot seat really and put Marvin Bartley back in it. And to be honest, I think I was saying this to someone earlier, the only really incident I remember from Marvin Bartley's head coaching career at Queen of the South was him moaning about his players playing the PlayStation. So he's going to have to show a lot more if Livingston want to avoid relegation this season.
And of course, this game is a derby, as it were, on Old Plastico, but Falkirk's got the better surface. Give us a quick word on Falkirk before we finish up. Ethan, you were the last team. You were the last pair of eyes to see Falkirk at Parkhead on Sunday. They actually played well. They actually had a bit of a go as well, and then the other week as well, Celtic were lucky to beat them because I thought Falkirk were the better team.
Yeah, that's why I said I think Falkirk have probably got more momentum than Hibs at the moment. I know they've lost those 2 games to Celtic, but especially the one at the home, they should have beat Celtic with the chances they created, and were really unlucky not to take anything from that game. I think 9 times out of 10 they probably do. The game at the weekend, I would say they had less of control of. They still played well, but they just didn't really create too many chances in the final third. And obviously Celtic took theirs really well when they did come their way. There wasn't much between the 2 teams though. And I think Falkirk are a team that have shown they can cause anybody in this league problems on their day.
Yep, and I'm just waiting for people to say why you not spoke about the Aberdeen Celtic game, the Dundee Motherwell game, but if you've not got a mobile phone and if you've not got the internet, you don't know that the game's off. So I think that the Celtic, I was saying to before he came on, Ethan, I heard him just saying that Aberdeen Celtic game might be in March, early March time as well. So we'll wait and see for that. So, recap the games tonight. Livy, Falkirk, Hibs, Dundee United. And the big one, Stevens off to watch Rangers against Kilmarnock. And of course, as I said, Aberdeen, Celtic, Dundee, and Motherwell is off. We'll be off for now, and we'll be back on at 10 o'clock. Whereas the debrief, looking back at the games tonight in the Premiership. So join us at 10 o'clock as we look back on the games tonight.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up